Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Cognitive Recalibration podcast. As always, I'm your host Shravan. We have Taran here with us.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about Avatar. What's it called? The Way
of the Water.
The Way of Water?
The Way of
Water.
The Way of Water.
And we're joined by returning special guest, Brian Sherlock. So welcome back.
Thank you.
When was the last time we had you?
We talked Eternals. So
Yeah,
basically
that's
it's
right.
a year since I've
About
been.
a year.
Yeah.
A while back. But you were extremely keen to voice your opinion about Avatar and James Cameron. So
Yeah.
hence you're back. And I guess even we have thoughts on it as well. So Taran and I watched it last night at a 9:30 screening, which in hindsight was way too late to watch this movie.
Hence why I brought you the Dr. Pepper man.
Yeah. But you watched it at an ideal time. Well, not super ideal. It was still pretty late. Ended up being pretty late.
In a way, yeah.
So as usual, we'll do a bit of background on the movie. We will talk box office. Firstly, we'll talk about the first Avatar's box office because it is still the highest grossing movie of all time. And then we'll talk about the stakes that they've set themselves up for in this movie in terms of box office and what they need to achieve for it to be profitable.
Yeah.
Then we'll get into our thoughts spoiler free. So you can keep listening. We won't do any spoilers until we clearly indicate later in the episode when we will jump into some spoilers. All right, so we'll start with some background. So obviously, the man needs no introduction. James Cameron is the director of this.
James Cameroon.
As they call him in India for some reason. Yeah.
And he's born in Cameroon.
He's actually Canadian. I looked up his bio.
He's Canadian.
He's from Canada. He has spent the last 13 years making this movie.
He hasn't spent the whole 13 years making this movie.
Well, apparently...
It only went to production in 2017.
Yeah.
Yes. So, he spent a lot of time waiting for the technology to get up to speed for what he wanted.
That's what he did for the first Avatar as well.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to make the first Avatar in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then he waited.
Well, before Titanic, actually.
Yeah.
So I think after T2, was T2 the movie he did before Titanic?
Terminator.
Or was it The Abyss?
Yeah.
It was The Abyss.
The Abyss was before Titanic.
It was Abyss and then Titanic.
And then Titanic. And
so
then
T2 was before Abyss.
Yeah. So, basically, before he did Titanic, I think he wanted to do Avatar, but then the technology wasn't up to scratch, so he did Titanic. And then he started doing Avatar, but obviously that took him like 10 years as well, I think, to make.
11 years, I think.
Yeah. When was, I think Titanic was 97?
7.
Yeah, and Avatar was 2009, so 12 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
But obviously not that whole time spent on production. But
No. You're shouting at other people.
And, well, they were doing writing and stuff as well, because he wasn't just defining this movie, he was doing the next. Initially, it was only meant to be 2 movies, but now it's 3.
5.
Well, for
4,
this one, they've already shot Avatar 3.
Yeah, they've already
they've shot part of Avatar 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it's just 4, right? I don't think
He wants to do 5.
He's got 5 and 6, but he's not going to do it. Someone else is going to do it, but he's got like the story for 5 and 6. So he's going to do 4. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. We know that. I think 3 is definitely... Well,
3's done. It's done.
It's already post-production, right? So
4's, they've shot half of it, so it's kind of like...
that will come out.
Yeah. Well, have you heard all the quotes?
Yeah, we'll get into the quotes.
Yeah.
So other stuff about the movie, it's got returning cast. So Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, even Sigourney Weaver, who... So this
It's not a spoiler. She plays a different character.
Yeah, she plays a different...
This movie was not... They didn't have any spoilers for this.
Yeah. And Sigourney Weaver says it in like everything, that she plays a different character in this. Yeah.
Because I couldn't... Firstly, disclaimer that both me and Taran haven't seen the first movie. Well, I haven't seen it since it came out, so I haven't seen it again. So a lot of the stuff about first movie, I don't remember that clearly. But one thing I do remember is Sigourney Weaver. I'm pretty sure she died in the first movie.
She did,
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure some of the other
There's
characters.
another character that dies, and he's in this as well.
Yeah. So there are some other returning characters. So Stephen Lang is in the cast. Yeah. So obviously he's in it in some capacity. And Kate Winslet is a new character in this. Who's
first time after Titanic.
Yeah, she was like...
Which she said she would never work with James Cameron again after Titanic.
Unless she got paid a lot.
Yeah,
probably.
So she must have got paid a lot.
Yeah. And apparently she almost died drowning or something.
In Titanic, yeah.
I think so.
In this as well.
Yeah,
no, she broke the record for underwater scenes.
Holding her breath underwater.
7 minutes.
Oh, broke Tom Cruise's record.
Yeah. And apparently she came out and was like, first thing she said is, am I dead? Or something like that. Because she felt like she was dead. But anyway, she's back.
Back working with James Cameron, because she's not in the first one.
No. Yeah, she's back working with James Cameron.
Yeah.
I didn't actually realize that was the character she was her, actually.
I knew she was in this movie, so I was like trying to figure out which one she was.
Yeah.
Like, it can only be this chick.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be anyone. Can't be that little girl.
Yeah, because she doesn't have an accent. It's like a different accent. So I couldn't tell if it was her or not. But it is all mocap, obviously. So it's not like an animated movie. No. They've actually motion captured the whole thing. So let's get into a couple of other things. So running time is 192 minutes.
About 3.5 hours.
It's long. And then when James Cameron was asked why the movie was longer than 3 hours, he said the goal was to tell an extremely compelling story on an emotional basis. I would say the emphasis in the new film is more on the character, more on the story, more on the relationships, and more on emotion. Hence, they needed more time. We'll get into that later. Budget. So, as we said earlier, this is very expensive. So, they haven't actually disclosed exactly what the budget was, but it's estimated to be between 350 to 400 million.
Yeah,
which would comfortably make it the most expensive movie of all time.
James Cameron has said how much it needs to make.
Yeah,
to make
he
a
said,
profit.
So based on that, he was saying it needs to
make over $2 billion.
Yeah,
it needs to be the highest grossing film of all time.
I think it'll break even if it makes. He didn't say $2 billion exactly, but he said it needs to be in the top 5.
No, I think he said it needs to be the highest grossing film of all time.
I think,
to break even.
No. I'm hearing different things about this, but I think it needs to be in the top 5 all time, which means it needs to make $2 billion.
Yeah, $2 billion.
$2 billion to break even, and then anything more than $2 billion, they're profitable. But obviously, if they want to make big money off this, they'll need it to be almost as successful as the first one, which is the most.
I think they're probably banking on 3 and 4, which won't cost as much as this, because I think it's because this took the big amount of the budget.
Yeah.
I think they're banking on 3 and 4 to kind of make it back.
All 3 movies apparently cost $1 billion.
Yeah.
The 3 that are in production at the moment. So, have been in production or post-production. So, that's high stakes, box office-wise. So far it's done 67 million. A couple of things about the box office, actually. So it is coming out more widely than a lot of movies have been coming out recently. So worldwide, it is releasing this weekend.
People love Avatar in China.
Yeah, there's Chinese love.
That's right. So it's coming. A lot of movies haven't been coming out in China this year, but this is, and it's coming out at the same time as everywhere else. And
it made big money in China. Yeah.
Well, I've got some stats about what it's done in China, but the only country it's not coming out in is Russia. So everywhere else, it is releasing. In terms of the first Avatar, so the first Avatar,
North Korea.
I don't think they get movies.
They don't.
In general, yeah.
You lied.
Western movies get really shat on over there.
So the first Avatar made, in terms of US domestic, made 750 million. And worldwide, it made 2.74 billion. That's in its original
releases as well.
No, that's in its original theatrical run. So Endgame did beat that number.
Yeah,
but since then, Avatar has had a re-release. So now it's
2 re-releases.
Yeah, so now its worldwide cumulative number is 2.92 billion, and most recently, actually, it did re-release in China. And it made another 57. It made another 57 million in China for a re-release of Avatar, which is a 13-year-old movie. So they definitely like it in China, and it was the second highest gross, apart from the US, was from China for the first movie. So they're anticipating this movie is going to do pretty well in China. It is going to have a different trajectory to the first movie, though. So the first movie, it didn't open big. So it opened to 77 million, which is by no means it's big, but it's not like a blockbuster opening. So it was a pretty small opening compared to its budget at that time. But then the way it performed was usually when a movie releases, each subsequent weekend reduces in terms of the money it makes. Yeah. This actually, at one stage, it started increasing. Yeah. So it got more weekend on weekend, and it ran for a very, very long time. The first movie, it ran for like 6 months in the cinemas, and it had the advantage of 3D back then. So people paid the premium to watch it in 3D. Hence, it also made a lot of money. Coming to this movie, it's going to perform more like a normal blockbuster movie. So it's going to have a big opening because of the anticipation from the first movie. So it's probably going to open at least at 150 million. But people are saying it's going to be over 200, which will make it the highest opening for this year. So the highest opening is currently Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which was about 180 million. So it's expected to do at least as well as that in terms of opening.
Didn't Black Panther do? They did 130 mil, didn't they?
Yeah, it did a bit less. Not sure why. But Doctor Strange was the biggest one. So we'll see how this one goes. We'll see if it can get to the 2 billion. One thing to keep in mind is a movie hasn't actually made 2 billion since Endgame. The closest we've got was No Way Home, which was just below 2 billion. So it's been about 4 years since.
It doesn't happen all the time.
It's very rare. The first Avatar also is the highest opening for any IP that's any movie that's not related to an IP. So it's an original movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, this doesn't count anymore because it's a sequel, but that still holds the record for the biggest opening for an original film.
Yeah. Okay. What about Avengers?
That's not it's based off a comic, right? So it doesn't count.
It clearly went straight over your head.
He's being evil again.
You clearly thought I was being serious.
I take you way too seriously. Yeah. Top Gun. We will mention Top Gun Maverick because that's done very well this year. So that actually has the highest. It's the highest grossing movie so far this year, about 1.5 billion worldwide, and it's also, I think, it has made more than the original Avatar in the US. So I think it's made more than 750 million just in the US. Yeah, interesting times where, because the last couple of years, comic book movies were really the king of the box office. This year's been definitely a change in that. Yeah. A lot of the comic book movies haven't been doing that well, and then
this comes along.
Yeah.
This will hit more demographics than comic book movies.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
There was a time where comic book movies hit more demographics, but I think it's tailed off.
I think they've got a bit too...
There's too many of them. Yeah. It's too niche. Yeah. But this will hit a lot of demographics. Yeah.
Like we were saying, a lot of people that don't usually watch movies in general in the cinema want to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, the people that normally watch comic book movies are not interested in this.
Yeah. So
like most of my friends that do go to watch the movie don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
But like people that never go to the cinema want to go to the cinema and watch this. Yeah.
They're going out of their way to go and watch this. So we did mention 3D for the first Avatar movie. That was one of the big reasons why it made so much money. Yeah. So this is also releasing in 3D. It's also releasing in high frame rate. One thing about the high frame rate, it's not for every scene. So we thought it's that he didn't shoot the whole movie in high frame rate. So he shot certain scenes in high frame rate, and the other scenes are not high frame rate. But we'll get into our thoughts on what we thought about the 3D and the high frame rate.
You probably have a different opinion to that.
I think I have a different opinion in general about this movie. But you watched it in 2D.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get your thoughts on the 2D experience as well. So let's get into our thoughts on the movie. I think that's enough of the background. So we'll do positives and negatives. I can start with positives maybe.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest positives, and this is what everyone's going to say, and no one can deny this, is that it is visually spectacular. It's stunning. It looks amazing. I was pretty apprehensive about the 3D and especially apprehensive about the high frame rate because I had a pretty bad experience with The Hobbit where they had 3D and high frame rate for that movie and it just didn't look good.
Sure,
This, I actually thought the 3D was probably the best 3D I've ever seen. I can't think of 3D being better than this before. Probably the first Avatar, but I can't remember how good it was back then. But I actually thought it actually added a bit of value to the experience, just because when you watch most 3D, it's post-converted 3D.
Yeah.
So it's just like kind of, there's a background and a foreground. Whereas this, it felt like, especially in the scenes in the water, you could see that there was a bit of depth, and you could see like the the creatures that are coming out of the water and things. I thought it was good.
I have a differing opinion on that one, but I didn't hate the 3D. I just thought it didn't add much value. Like I got used to it after a while, and I just thought I was watching a 2D movie after a while. I didn't really feel that there was much depth.
Yeah.
The only thing I felt was, I hate having these glasses on my face. I want to take them off.
Yeah.
It does hurt my eyes after a while as well.
Well, I think good 3D is when it doesn't detract from the movie. Yeah. So you kind of do get used to it. I
definitely got used to it. It wasn't distracting. So it's not bad 3D.
Yeah.
It's definitely not bad. This is like, I can't think of another movie other than the first Avatar that was actually shot for 3D though.
Yeah.
So this is the only one, and everything else is post-converted. So that's probably why it's better than everything else.
Yeah.
Because it's actually shot for 3D.
I think The Hobbit may have been. I can't remember.
I don't think it was. I think it was post-converted.
But yeah, no.
It doesn't distract.
It doesn't distract from it. Even the high frame rate, for me, it looked fine.
The high frame rate, I couldn't tell the difference. Honestly, it felt like 24 frames. So
yeah, well, when it started, I could tell the difference because everything's a little bit smoother, but yeah, apart from that, I didn't detract from the experience.
I guess it's a positive that both of them didn't distract you when you're watching it. So
yeah. The attention to detail just around, especially because I have spent a significant amount of time constructing this movie and this world. So I did really appreciate the world building and the time he spent. You go to another part of, so Pandora is the planet, right?
Pandora is a moon.
Yes.
And its orbit's Polyphemus. That's what I called it, the big one. So.
Yeah. So they explore another part of Pandora in this, and it was well done. The characters in this, so I'm not going to say this is a positive, but they were slightly more interesting than the first movie. I think one of the biggest...
I think a big plus, my biggest positive is they don't concentrate on Jake Sully, because Jake Sully is the most boring character, and he's like really good choice to have him in the background of this movie.
Yeah.
And he isn't the main character, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
well, I don't think there isn't really a main character. It's kind of
it's all over the place,
centered around his family. I guess his family are all,
but he's he's not the center of the focus, which would have been bad because he's a very boring character. Even in this, he's boring. Like there's nothing to him.
So yeah, I mean it's not really a positive as such, but
I think it is a positive.
Yeah.
They did well to steer clear of that. And the other characters they introduced are actually pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting. And I mean, lastly, I think James Cameron is a little bit crazy these days, I guess you could say. But despite all of that, you can't deny the fact that he is visionary and he does take the technology forward. Like he single-handedly brought 3D to cinema, essentially.
And ruined cinema for about 10 years. But But I guess he does it well. So it's so, the other filmmakers that ruined it. Yeah.
I do respect his passion towards using technology and improving how films are made from a technology perspective. So I'll leave it at that. I do have some other negatives, but we'll get to that later. Did you have any other positives?
Yeah, I do have, given what I've already told you before this start, I do have some positives. I agree with the visuals and all that because I snorkel. I do like to snorkel, so this is very much this would suit snorkel people who enjoy the ocean, obviously.
Yeah.
I did like Kiri and Loak.
So who's Loak?
Kiri is Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Teenage Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
And Loak was the younger brother who gets into trouble. I thought him and the whale dealie, what are they called again? Whale dealies. Yeah, I just like, I
can't remember. It starts with T. Yeah.
I mean, you've seen that happen before in stories and all that and other cinema and that, but I just like that little friendship they were building towards each other.
Yeah.
And my last thing was that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The finger thing.
He put his rude fingers up.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are probably my only positives.
So, there was a bit more. this is not a funny movie, but there was a little bit more comedy. I remember the first movie was just like
very.
I don't remember
There's
any moments of levity in the
There's
first
this
movie.
Australian guy that comes towards the back end of this movie. I found him very funny. He hammed it up a lot, and like his dialogue was very cringe at some points, but I think purposefully cringe. He was pretty funny. Yeah,
and there was some unintentionally funny parts in this as well.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they were intentional or unintentional, but
Scott Lang's character is very cringy with his dialogue.
Yeah.
It's like a 90s villain, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like very old school villain.
Yeah, it's not much of a change from the first movie in terms of his characterization. Yeah.
He's just blue now, so basically not much difference.
But yeah, there's some funny parts in terms of like cringe dialogue, which I don't know if it was on purpose or if it was, But
we could get into it more in spoilers, but there were some parts where, especially in the climax, like I think the way they structured the scenes and the writing wasn't like the best way they structured some of the action. And there was one particular dialogue where it was funny, but they were kind of like winking.
Why did you do this? Yeah.
They were like winking at the screen. They're winking at the audience, essentially like, oh, I can't believe this is happening again.
I actually really like that little girl character. She doesn't have much to do in the movie, but everything she did was good.
Yeah.
I think the three youngest of the children were really good. The son, the second son, I think he was the highlight.
Yeah.
And he's got character development. The oldest son doesn't get much play. He does one thing in this movie, which is a spoiler. Yeah. But other than that, he doesn't get much play, which kind of downgrade the thing that he did. Sigourney Weaver's character is doing a lot of shit in this movie, which doesn't really pay off.
I think
but it's probably looking for a sequel kind of thing.
Yeah. Setting something up with her character. I think. Yeah.
There was a lot of that which I think could have been cut out, but some of it was visually pretty cool. And the little girl was cute. Yes.
I did like most of the new characters that they introduced in this. I think they did.
Even the water tribe people that they introduced.
And the differentiation that they showed, because they're like, firstly, they look different as well. They look slightly different.
The waters are, they're stronger bodies and all that.
Yeah.
And the forest, they're more agility. They need agility whilst they need strength and bone density in that.
Yeah. Because the first movie there's always like an environmental message associated, because James Cameron's also
he's a vegan now, so
he describes himself as an environmentalist as well.
Yeah.
So the first one was about forests and the importance of forests for the world, planet Earth, and then this is about the oceans. We could jump into negatives. I'll start with one, and I know you guys probably have
heaps
some more, but again, the amount of effort he's put into the technology and the construction of the film, if you put a little bit more of that effort into the actual story, not that the story is bad or anything, but it's not like...
It is a rehash of the first film.
Yeah.
Being the first film, there's a guy from a different world that goes and meets this tribe, has to learn the ways of the tribe, and then people come and attack the tribe, and then he works with the tribe and saves them. Yeah. Exactly the same thing happens here. It's just he meets another tribe, and then and I thought the motivations for the villains were... It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at a certain point. I'll go through it in spoilers, but the initial motivation for the villain I understood, and then it totally changes, and I'm like, why is he still doing this? Like, it doesn't make sense given the point that he was brought to Earth for. But anyway, we'll go through it in spoilers. I just thought because the whole story revolves around this mission that the villains have, and it just didn't seem like it was that. There wasn't a clear idea of what this mission is. Well, it is. Was it just revenge? No, but why was he? Okay, we got to wait till spoilers. There's all these spoilers. It felt anyway, that whole thing, it kind of does take you out of it a little. Because it's lack of clarity. It's not that this movie is devoid of emotion, but just because that central storyline is just doesn't resonate that much. So you can't get that attached to the movie. He overcomes it with like the visuals. So you do walk out thinking, oh, that was like, it was something. That was a really visual movie. And going back to, this is actually what I thought about Martin Scorsese, what he talked about with Marvel movies, how he called them theme park movies.
This is a theme park movie.
Yes.
This is like, because when you go to a theme park, you go on rides and you enjoy the ride for whatever. Like there's actually an Avatar ride in Disney World, which I went on, and that's like a really nice visual ride. You experience it while it's happening, but obviously there's no story to rides, right?
Nah.
So this is similar to that. Like when you're watching it, you're like, well, this is an experience.
Yeah.
But you don't watch this movie for the
drama.
story. Yeah, it's for
He does finish it off really well as well. Like the last hour or 40 minutes is quite entertaining.
Yeah.
So you come out of it probably thinking it's better than it is.
Yeah.
But then when you think about it a bit more, like the first hour and 2 hours essentially, it's like what actually happened.
It's a rehash of Titanic as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Titanic finishes really well and solid.
Basically-
even Avatar 1 finishes really well. So he does finish off his movies quite well and they're entertaining.
And the action in this, I didn't mention in positives, but he obviously knows how to direct action. He's made some iconic action movies.
Got to give him that one.
So the action is pretty good when it goes down.
The last hour is really good, but like some of it's just the hand-to-hand combat stuff. It's just not that interesting.
It's like really slow as well.
Yeah.
I think the big spectacle stuff, like the big fight scenes,
Those were good. Yeah.
Natiri get taken out the young.
Yeah. When Natiri's like shooting arrows at like
I'm
people,
fuck with the
it's-
mum.
Yeah.
My biggest negative is really the motivations of the villains, and the overall plot was not that great.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to hear what you guys have to say.
You want to go first?
I guess it's basically that. Like the first 2 hours of this movie is quite forgettable.
Yeah.
I did enjoy maybe the first 40 minutes where it's like, oh, this is really beautiful.
Yeah.
And then he keeps doing that for like another hour and a half after that of like long shots in the ocean, like long shots in the air, people flying, long shots of like people using the animals.
Yeah.
Where the story isn't going forward.
Yeah.
But it's just like looking at a beautiful thing, I guess.
You know, like those really well shot documentaries, like they're like visually very stunning to watch.
Yeah.
But they don't have a lot of like repeat value. You're not going to go and watch them over and over again.
Yeah.
Similar to that.
Yeah. And like I said, the first hour or so was entertaining, even looking at those shots, because it is visually amazing. Yeah. But I think he overdoes it. And the biggest negative for me is this movie doesn't need to be 3 hours. This movie could be 2 hours.
Yeah.
For the story it had.
Yeah.
You cut out 1 hour of long shots and it would run quicker.
Fewer people would bitch about it.
Well, and I think it would be a better movie.
The title of the movie is Way of the Water. The water stuff doesn't come in for like
for too
an
long.
Hour? Like, because they do set up a lot
There
of
is
stuff.
a lot of stuff that and at the startup, because we haven't seen the old one in a long time, I was a bit confused at what was happening. So it was good to set some of the stuff up.
Yeah, it made sense afterwards. Like, it's not like I was confused because so initially I was a little bit confused because all of the characters do look a little bit similar, but then as the movie goes on, you can tell which one's
kind of
which.
tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the runtime is the biggest
I think
problem
it
for
was.
this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a bit too long. Like, we've seen quite a few movies in the time that we've been doing this podcast where we say they're too long. Even Black Panther,
It's
Wakanda
too long.
Forever
Yeah, we said that
was a bit too long.
Yeah.
So this is definitely too long. If it's more than 3 hours, you got to have a good reason for it.
Yeah. Like Endgame is 3 hours, but stuff happens in most of that movie.
Yeah.
Like,
they weren't wasting all the scenes and all that.
Yeah.
There is at times where, the story isn't moving forward. We talked about this in the car yesterday as well. The editing in the first half is very bad. It's
choppy.
It's very choppy.
It's choppy.
There's two different groups doing two different things, and it keeps switching between them. There is very little connection between what they're doing, and the way the scenes switch sometimes is just like, why are we switching to them now?
Yeah.
And then after a while, they stop switching, and then it's like, what's happening over there for like an hour? And then they switch back, and nothing's happened over there for an hour.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. The editing was not great in the first half, which you would expect James Cameron to be good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just considering how long they've taken to make this movie.
Yeah.
Not that it didn't have to be perfect, but like the product that we got at the end, it is visually, no gripes about that, but story-wise, I think they could have done better.
But saying that, I still had a good time at the end. I didn't hate this movie. I thought I would hate it. I did end up hating it. Yeah.
Did you have any other particular names?
I thought be honest, with the difference focusing on like multiple characters, and I thought you really just need to bring it in. Like they didn't focus on Jake, which is a good thing and all that, but like jumping from bad guy with one-dimensional bad guy to the Spider Kid and the kid with the whale, the girl who came from Sigourney Weaver, etc. I'm thinking, can we just sort of condense this a bit? Because plus they weren't really getting, I don't think they were getting enough story-wise. Well, stories out the window, as we've already discussed and all that. So just even if they got their own 5 minutes to themselves, they're not getting much out of it. And like as you said, there was no payoff for Sigourney Weaver's new character.
Because usually when you have, there's multiple sequels coming up, there's a lot of setup for other stuff that might come up.
Yeah.
That was the only one where I felt, they're probably saving it for another movie. But
yeah. People hate it when Marvel movies do that, when they set up for another movie. Yeah. That doesn't pay off in this movie. I think it's okay to set up for another movie if there's some kind of payoff in the movie that you have. I don't know if there was that one. I guess she does something at the end.
Yeah, that hint that she has some ability.
Yes. Basically, I wouldn't call this a fan theory because I'm not really much of a fan, but I have a theory, but say that for spoilers or whatever. Yeah.
I know. She was okay. Like, that's not the biggest problem with the film. It's okay. Yeah.
You did mention Spider. So Spider's this basically one of the few human characters in this movie.
I went back and forth with him. I'm like, this is an interesting character. I'm like, I don't care about this kid.
I didn't really understand, and we can get into it in spoilers again, but like what his motivation was in the end. Like what it was very conflicting what he was doing. So
he didn't have a lot of conviction, that character.
Yeah. I kind of understood what
was happening.
But like the payoff wasn't great.
Yeah.
The thing that happened, I think is very surface level. You guys are probably overthinking it. The reason he does what he does.
Anyway, I thought that character was fine, but also I just found it very weird that he was in the same outfit for the whole movie. Like,
you think he's with the humans, so they'd probably try and put him in a t-shirt.
Would have given him some clothes, maybe.
Yeah.
Not many clothes in this movie. Going around, not much at all.
Also, they tended to waste a couple of the previous characters. Like at the end, you see Natiri's mother, the dickhead from the mining corporation, and like they really didn't utilize all the returning characters, and they get headed in the main credits. What was the point of having them there?
Yeah,
I think no one really.
I didn't remember it.
No one even remembers Jake Sully. So,
I think Michelle Rodriguez was wise to not come back.
Also, Natiri's really not in this movie. Like Zoe Saldana's maybe in this movie for 10 minutes. I reckon.
Yeah. I would be on that one.
Yeah, she wasn't in it as much. Yeah,
I'm guessing she'll get more of a play later on. But like thinking about the amount of dialogue she has in this movie, it's like very limited.
Yeah. She was probably the best character in the first movie.
Well, because it's between her and Jake Sully. Jake Sully's the worst protagonist ever.
So she's, she is an interesting character. I think she has a bit more to her than Jake Sully. So, all right. So I give it a cognitive recalibration. I did like this movie. It has its flaws, but I liked it.
I would have to as well. Like, I didn't hate it. I would never watch it again. Like, and I don't want to watch it again. But kind of keen for a sequel. Like, I didn't hate it.
How about you? I think you were a bit more negative on this.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, I was just me and James.
You haven't mentioned your catchphrase for this movie, which is glorified wallpaper.
Glorified screensaver.
The screensaver.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it again, but like, I walked out of it. I mean, I checked my phone 3 times for the time when I was in there. I think that's probably a very bad sign.
I check my phone a lot as well in the first half, but then
half my cinema were doing it as well.
Yeah, it is long.
Yeah,
and it is just something to keep in mind. I do actually recommend watching it in 3D. I think it's kind of adds a little bit, but
I would say.
I mean, you don't have to. Yeah. I think it will look fine. Even did it look fine in 2D?
2D, I didn't have a problem with 2D. It was like I remember 3D years ago, and like my eyes were hurting halfway through. I mean, please get these glasses off my head. So like, I'm really not fussed for 3D. Yeah, but 2D wise, visuals on the 2D, didn't have a problem with that. Story and thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, if you are going to watch it in 3D, and the high frame rate, just keep in mind this is a long movie, and I was very tired at the end. My eyes were like almost watering because
you were up later as well.
having these glasses on. And it's quite straining on the eyes. So just something to keep in mind if you are going to watch it in 3D.
Yeah.
All right. So do you give it a positive or a negative then?
I'm gonna have to go with the negatives. Like, again, I'm not gonna say it again, but I'm just, like not gonna really spruik it or anything.
Yeah,
I've learned my lesson from the last one.
Yeah, like even the first one, I remember like watching it. I think it was good, but it had little to no cultural impact.
No.
Like for a movie that's the highest grossing movie of all time, no one even talks about it.
Nah, you're right. Yeah.
So it's like there's other franchises like Lord of the Rings. People still talk about Lord of the Rings. Marvel, they'll be talking about that for a long time. But like even Batman movies that didn't do anywhere near as well as Avatar, people still talk about.
Yeah.
So it's just a really weird phenomenon where this movie did extremely well financially, but
it's basically it's a ripped off of all these other movies and that.
That's right. The story's not that original.
It's just one of those movies that people want to watch but don't want to read. Like it has a cultural impact at that time.
Very specific point.
But like people aren't gonna like make they might now. I feel like there might be a bit more of a cultural impact now. Yeah. Because there is a bit more of a lore and a bit more happening
world
in this.
Building,
world building in this. Yeah. Whereas the first one, it had a little bit of lore and world building, but nowhere near as much as this. And there's more characters to kind of think where things go and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we'll see where this goes. And I'm sure there's more rides and stuff coming at the Disney parks.
There will be, yeah.
I will say that I think it's called, I forgot what the ride is called, but the people who have been to it will know the one I'm talking about. But you ride a Banshee, which is in Pandora.
The bird thing.
The bird,
Bird.
That is actually one of the best rides I've ever been on.
Oh.
It's very well constructed. They're obviously they're gonna milk this for all they can, I'm sure.
Oh, Disney owns it now, so they milk everything.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into spoilers. So if you haven't seen Avatar Way of Water, go watch it. Come into this point in the episode and listen to our spoilers. Okay, so where do we want to start? So we haven't really talked about the story much, but basically Jake Sully gets driven out of their tribe because they're getting hunted by.
So this is the part that I don't really understand. So the guy, what's his name?
Quaritch?
Is that his name?
The bad guy?
The villain guy.
Miles. Just call him Miles.
What's his actual name?
Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang. Yeah, him. He gets brought back to life.
Yeah.
Because they've got like a memory implant or something of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also breaks the world a little bit because maybe anyone that dies could get brought back to life. Yeah.
Can't Sigourney Weaver come? I'm sure they would have had.
They would have had her. Yeah. So aren't they building her in that lab?
Yeah. So
she was in a coma.
She was in a coma.
The Avatar was in a coma and like.
Okay. So is that from the first movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the human version of her is
the human version of her is dead, but they couldn't get her into the Avatar version, so she's stuck in the trees somewhere.
Oh, she's like in the.
But they kept they were able to keep the original body, and I thought they killed off Norm's Avatar body as well. Like he's back and breathing.
Yeah. Okay. So because she's in there. But realistically, they could bring anyone back to life.
Yeah.
With DNA, essentially.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So, like a guy dies in this movie, they could bring him back to life if they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They bring him back to life to lead a military assault on the cave guys. Well, the sky people land again and they're building their home world or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're destroying the forest.
Yeah.
So then Jake Sully and his gang try and stop them from doing that. So then they bring this guy back to stop Jake Sully and his gang in this cave to stop them doing that.
Yeah.
So that is the initial plot. But then Jake Sully leaves. So shouldn't they be fighting the people in the cave still? Why is he going after Jake Sully?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the part I didn't get because was it just a personal thing? Because his wife killed him, right?
Yeah.
So was it?
And he found out at the beginning as well.
Yeah.
But doesn't he get like the backing from the general chick and everything?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I'm not sure what it was.
They're there to terraform Pandora because Earth is dying at this point.
So they want to destroy the forest. And then the forest avatar, the forest Na'vi are trying to stop them from doing that.
Yeah.
But then Jake's not part of that fight at all because he leaves to protect his family.
But then they completely leave the forest and they just go searching for him.
They just go searching for him. So why did they bring him back to do that?
Yeah. I feel like there was a dialogue in there somewhere where they're like, oh, we have to start with killing Jake Sully or something. There was something there where
they have to kill the most boring person alive. Like, why?
I don't know why. But yeah, the whole story revolves around that. Because they're just searching for him.
And then you're like, for half the movie, you're like, why are they still searching for him? And also, he has a character arc where he goes from, oh, we're going to fight the war to we're not going to fight and we're just going to run. And there's no reason why. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why. And then at the end, he's like, no, we're going to fight again.
Yes.
Yeah. That was,
when they have his kids, it's like, yeah, I guess we'll have to fight now.
Yeah. There wasn't a single direction in this movie. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like his character at all. And I feel like
I thought he was better in this than
he's not funny. Yeah. He's not charismatic. Yeah. Like, he doesn't bring anything to the table.
He's a wooden door.
But I think the character that he's like a very protective father in this.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of worked better in this than the first one because the first one was revolved around him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's not like the most interesting character, right? Yeah. So that's why it kind of made the whole proceedings dull. But in this, they've got other characters that you can bounce off. Yeah. But yeah, that was a bit.
The overall story is
motivation was definitely a bit confusing. And then we'll get to Spider, which is in itself a weird name. I don't know why his actual name's something else, isn't it?
Miles.
Yeah. But he is Stephen Lang's son.
And is that in the first movie?
They don't mention it in the first movie. Then I kept reading he had a completely different name prior to the release. So I thought his name was going to be Javier. But then they changed it to, okay, that's not a spoiler. There are no spoilers here. So where is this surprise value going to come in? But yeah,
well, it wasn't a surprise because they just tell you.
Yeah. And literally. Like, I'm thinking Marvel doesn't do this. They surprise and shock value. That works for this sort of genre.
Yeah. Well, there's no surprise in this movie, to be honest. Like, you can see what's going to happen.
There's one moderate surprise, which I thought one of the kids would die because there was too many kids.
Yeah.
I actually thought Jake Sully was going to die.
You wish it.
But when there's 5 kids, you're like, oh, one of these is cannon fodder because they got to kill one of you. Yeah. Otherwise, you would have 2 kids and then they can't kill any of them.
Yeah.
So I actually the least interesting one got killed. So I'm like, okay, fair.
Yeah. I actually thought Jake Sully or Natiri might die. Natiri wasn't in the movie enough. So at one stage, I was like, no, they couldn't kill her because you just wouldn't have the emotional stakes because they haven't set her up that much in this movie.
Yeah.
So Jake maybe, but even he wasn't in this movie that much.
No.
So really it was the second kid is in the movie more than the rest of the family.
But they can't kill him because he's the best character.
Yeah. And he's probably going to become the main character.
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
And they can't kill the youngest girl because that's just mean.
That's
and they can't kill Sigourney Weaver.
Again?
Yeah, again. So they have to kill this kid, unfortunately. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I think I was surprised that they killed him. But yeah, I mean, in the end,
if you think about, when it happens initially, you're like, oh, that's a bit shocking.
Yeah.
But then you think about it for a second, and like, yeah, it had to be him.
Yeah.
Which is a little stupid because like he didn't get as equal amount of screen time as the other kids.
He didn't really have that much screen time. He probably had as much screen time as the youngest daughter.
And I think that's pretty stupid in storytelling wise because you need the audience to give a shit about the characters. Yes.
Yeah.
If the second son died, that would have been shocking.
Yeah. That would have been shocking.
Like he's talking to his whale friend, and I think, okay, this is a little interesting.
I thought his whale friend was going to die, but
that would have been more shocking. I would have probably felt more sad if the whale.
I actually really like that whale character.
Yeah, we like the one.
If the whale died,
doesn't
I would
even
have
say
been more
anything. Like, he's like one of the best characters in this movie.
I'm like, you kill a giant animal though, it really resonates. Like with Jurassic Park, they killed the long neck and that. I mean, oh god, why?
Well, there is an extended sequence, and that's where this movie really turns into more of an action movie, where they do kill a whale, a giant whale.
Then they explain afterwards why. All right, they actually explain that why they've come to Pandora. Another reason why they've come to Pandora, but they didn't. In the first,
it's the same as the first one. They're mining ore in the first one.
Yeah.
However,
and in this one, they're mining stuff out of whales.
Whale brains.
Yeah.
However, in the first one, they we're coming for that floating rocks and all that, but they don't actually explain why. And like they said, it's very expensive. What's it used for? Come on, give it.
It's also got the first one. I remember this. It's got the worst name, which is unobtainium.
Oh yeah, that
was stupid.
Yeah, they don't name it in this, do they?
Yeah, they're like,
it's just like plasma or something.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's just they don't.
It's like brain juice and all that, and it stops you from aging.
I'm surprised I'm sure there's more than just this much, right? It's like
I'd imagine so.
Yeah,
but they said it's like 6 billion or something.
Yeah. 80 million or something.
80 million or something
Yeah.
for a tube of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, you've explained that. Okay, now you tell me why you're hunting the whale dearly. So, okay, that's good.
Like, you spent 13 years, like, crafting a story. How did you come up with the same story as the first one? Like, surely, like, you come up with something
you just
slightly
off the
different.
screenplay again and just, here we go.
Yeah.
So apparently there were like 3 or 4 writers, and they all came up with the story together.
Yeah.
And then he allocated the like specific writing to each writer afterwards.
I heard James Cameron is particularly brutal to work with, and I bet those writers, he was like oppressive to them. Like he says, no, you can't write anything until you've got the.
And he wanted all of them to be involved.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to assign a movie to each person, because then they wouldn't be interested in the movie afterwards.
I'm thinking it's like.
So he wanted them all to collaborate, and then
you get these really one-dimensional plot lines with shitty dialogue. So why even rock up to work that day?
He has like strong characters in his previous movies.
Yeah.
Like Sarah Connor in Terminator, and obviously in Aliens. That wasn't his character though. He got it from
True Lies was pretty good. Yeah, that was memorable. Like now it's just like really one dimensional now. He doesn't really utilize his characters all that well. Like when he was doing Titanic, Kathy Bates' character was a real woman on the boat, but like she was known for nearly throwing a idiot off the lifeboat because he didn't want to go back and save others. Like, why didn't you include that? Because like that's the most defining thing she's known for. Like, he doesn't really.
He included that. Was it the chef that drank a lot of wine and hence he could survive in the water or something?
I think so.
There was something around, like
there was something. I remember something like that.
Yeah, because like obviously the water was freezing cold. And most people would have just died. Yeah. But this one guy survived, and that's because he was like,
I remember that.
Extremely intoxicated.
Yeah, but last 2 movies, he's not really, and they're really wooden doors. So
yeah. Well, speaking of Titanic, the climax of this movie reminded me a bit of Titanic.
It is a boat scene. James Cameron seems to have an obsession with drowning his cast members or like trying to drown them, because he's done Abyss, which people said they nearly drowned while doing that. Yeah. And he's done Titanic, which people nearly drowned while doing that.
I'm still
this,
before he made Titanic, I'm still a little freaked out, but not really impressed with how they actually got permission to make it. Because like he went to 20th Century Fox, says, I want to go down and see the boat. You're going to pay for the submarine. And I think, okay, then maybe I'll make a movie about it afterwards. Okay.
Yeah. They used that footage at the start of the movie, the part with the actual Titanic.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't like your motivations and reasonings for this. Like, you're just making someone else pay for the boat ride.
Didn't he do something for this as well, where he like explored
the Mariana Trench?
Yeah,
that's off South Korea, I think, or in between Japan and Korea.
Yeah, it's in the
He went to Thailand for the first Avatar. Yeah, was it Thailand? I think it was somewhere like that. Yeah,
nah, I thought it was New Zealand.
Was it Hawaii?
It was Hawaii.
Yeah,
it was Hawaii. Yeah, it was Hawaii. Yeah,
because like you look at this film, and like you really don't see anything familiar. I mean, I know it's Pandora and all that, but like you sort of sometimes you see a little bit of.
It's all shot in like a room, so
much,
Like, and it's 400 mil. I mean, Avengers was made for less than that, but equal amount of shots in that.
I do like the creatures in this movie.
Yeah,
even the first one,
the flying crocodile.
They were a little
flying crocodile.
A little bit reminiscent of the first kind of creatures, but they're cool. They're still good. The whale is nice. Yeah.
The whale.
The shark dealies from the jaw ripoff, and they had that. I think they had like a manta ray thing. Like, as you can see, I got like a manta ray obsession. Like, there was this, I would call it a manta ray knockoff floating around Sigourney Weaver. Like,
yeah. And was it like jellyfish or something at the end that she?
I think so. Yeah.
She summons to like, and she also like uses it to
I think
swim. Yeah.
they use that for extra oxygen.
Oh, is it oxygen? Yeah.
Like a life vest and all.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Kate Winslet was
Apparently,
Okay.
she has a big part to play in the next films.
Yeah, apparently she's got more to play in the
Yeah.
following films, but not much in this.
Cliff Curtis, who's
Yeah, he was the
Gonna
other guy. Yep.
yeah.
The daughter, I guess, has a bit more to play than the other
Saraya.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the son has a bit of a
Attitude.
subplot with the second.
Son.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else happens? Sigourney Weaver's having like seizures and stuff.
Oh,
This is the part that doesn't really pay off at all. Like,
Epilepsy.
Well, they
Yeah.
say if she goes and does that again, she'll probably die, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
But then she
Yeah.
does it and like she controls the sea life and all. I think, all right.
I don't think that's it though. She has to be connected to that
tree. The big
yeah.
tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Well, at the end, they established that they're now part of this tribe, right?
Yeah.
So I think Jake says, "Oh, we've got to leave again,"
Yeah.
and then
but then there's
Stick around.
yeah, just stay. You're one
Because
of us.
he
One
could-
dimensional on us.
But
because
really,
he can see his son when he plugs into the tree. That's why he stays. Because he can
Yeah.
see his son
Yeah.
when he plugs into the tree.
I got memories from
Yeah.
the.
Because his son is part of the
it's
tree
part-
now.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
you can go visit him.
So technically, his son's not even dead because he can visit it.
No one can die in this movie.
Well, it's
just
he won't
memories,
age.
right?
He won't age. It's memories.
It's just
yeah.
memories. So
Yeah.
it's not like the real thing. I mean, if I was them, because I think it's established that he kind of does know this guy because he's like, oh, this guy's a great warrior. And he says something. That's why he accepts them to come in, right? Because he knows him,
Yeah.
I think. But like, if they didn't come, they
That
wouldn't
they
have got
wouldn't have got into. Yeah.
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 They wouldn't have got attacked or anything. So like, I don't know. Would you let them stay? Where else are they going to go? Well, I was actually hoping that they probably will do this anyway, but they'll go to somewhere else.
Another tribe.
The mountains
Yeah.
then.
Way of, I don't know, sand or something. They're going to
Well,
the desert.
They go.
Couple of quotes from like the cast and James Cameron. They're like, well, this was Zoe Saldana. She said that even if you like the second one a little bit, the third one's amazing. So already building up the third one. And then James Cameron said that when he put the script in for the second one, they had like 5 pages of notes. And then he put the script in for the third one and they had 3 pages of notes. He put the script in for the fourth one and apparently they only sent back, holy fuck. And then he asked for the notes and they were like, that's the notes.
Okay.
So he reckons he's got a really good fourth one ready. Yeah.
Well, they'll probably just keep exploring other parts of.
Yeah.
Apparently they go to Earth in the fifth one.
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
That's
does that
what
work?
James Cameron said.
Was it going to be a like
Shit
Earth versus Na'vi war or something?
Yeah.
Probably shit all. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, since he's already made the third, I think the third one's in 2 years now.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years,
at
and
the
the fourth
moment.
one is 2 years after that. And how old is he now?
He's in his 60s.
But he said he's not going to do the fifth one.
Yeah.
Like the fifth one, someone else will do it. But he knows like the general story out.
Basically,
Like,
he's
he'll be
been
like
George
an
Lucas.
executive producer or something with story credit. Yeah.
He's playing George in this role.
I wonder who he'll get because it surely wouldn't be someone that it wouldn't be like a well-known director, right?
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't be like a Denis Villeneuve or something like
But
that.
like after he leaves franchises, they don't generally go in a good direction.
Well, we've seen what
Yeah.
happened with Terminator.
Oh, he's
then
been talking about
Alien.
that.
Ever seen what happened with Aliens?
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, it's probably not a good sign if he leaves. But I would like to see him do something else apart from just Avatar
he
movies. for
said
the
he's
rest
I
of
going to
don't
do
know.
nothing but Avatar to the end.
I'm kind of looking forward to the third one. Like, I think it could be interesting. The kids will grow up a little bit. I think they'll kind of become the main characters. And yeah, I think it could go in interesting ways. I think they should not bring back Scott Lang, though.
He's
Like,
going to be, he's
yeah.
sticking around. Stephen Lang.
Stephen
Lang,
Lang,
yeah.
sorry. Scott Lang is
He's,
Ant-Man.
nah, he's, that's right. Yeah. Nah, he's going to be he's going to be the bad guy for the rest of the
Really?
franchise.
I guess they could bring him back infinite amount of times.
Yeah. Well, it's still alive. So we can talk about.
Oh, yeah, he's alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk about
Yeah.
Spider as well. So Spider, he is in the second plot of this movie. So the first plot is Sully and his family and their stuff in learning about water and stuff.
Yeah.
There's also some dialogue which we can talk about later. But the second plot is about Spider and
Quaritch. Just say Quaritch.
Quaritch. Yeah. So
Porridge. What?
yeah,
Key porridge.
so it alternates between these two plots, and at one stage you actually don't see this second plot for like an hour. Like they come back to it later, but like not much has happened. But essentially, I think because technically it's not his father. Like he wasn't actually.
It's not his biological father, but it's his.
It's like the memories of his father.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they both start to kind of feel a connection because at the end, he does stop Neytiri from killing him.
I think that's why he saves it. I don't think it's deeper than that. He doesn't say that he doesn't kill the little girl.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's Sigourney Weaver, isn't it?
I think he just doesn't want to be what his father was. I think that was what his motivation.
He doesn't kill Sigourney Weaver because he wanted to save his son, and then he feels like he repays him by saving him, essentially. So he saved him, so he saves it back.
And then that's it.
That's it, yeah. I think that's as deep as it is.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. I think what would be really interesting in the next couple is if Stephen Lang's character actually becomes good.
Swap sides.
Yeah.
And if one of the kids becomes bad.
The little
Which
girl.
one, though?
Sigourney Weaver.
How?
I don't know. But she would be the most likely, wouldn't it? The little girl's not going to go bad. The little girl is. It'll be Sigourney Weaver or the second son. It's got to be Sigourney Weaver.
I actually think, because they kind of established this in this movie with Neytiri as well, that she's a bit
rogue.
Yeah, she can go a bit rogue.
Yeah.
And you see it from Spider's perspective as well, where he sees the video of her killing her actual father back then, and then her being pretty brutal at the end. So maybe they're hinting at something. And they also do say that Neytiri never liked Spider as well.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something there.
She's the Caitlin Stark to his Jon
I think it's going to be a situation where Spider does something and then wins over Neytiri at some point.
Yeah. I don't think he's done it yet.
I thought he was going to do it in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he hasn't done it yet.
She's pretty good with the bow and arrow, though.
Oh, yeah.
She is, yeah.
All right.
Does anything else happen in this movie?
Well,
there's a part with Spider where he gets a fire hydrant and he just takes out like 3 guys.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It's like they took their time actually to stop him. It's like, seriously, 3 guys, and you probably grab that, pull that out of his hands like 5-10 seconds or something. What happened there?
And the Australian guy.
Fuck.
Who
he was funny.
He was funny, and
but they want
funny.
Yeah,
this is Steve Irwin of that Pandora,
and they want you to obviously hate him, and he has a pretty horrific death as well, which was actually pretty good.
Not great CGI on that death though. Surprising. Like compared to the rest of the movie, it's like that is clearly CGI.
That one didn't look as good, but he had it coming. So there was also a marine biologist who
I think he makes it out.
Yes, I think he
makes it out.
He got on a lifeboat.
Yeah, okay.
He's kind of like a character where he's like doesn't like what he's doing, but he's doing it.
He's the new Grace.
Yeah, it feels like he obviously isn't on board with what's happening, but he's still helping them. So he's doing it. I felt like if they killed him, I don't know, they were kind of building him up to be like a sympathetic character. If they just killed him, it would have been. I don't know if he'll ever show up again. He probably won't. Probably not.
I think he will. It's like they had. I remember they had a couple of cast members who didn't show up at all in this movie. They said they're coming into the next movie.
So yeah, I think that's it. Like it is a long movie, but there's not that much to discuss. I don't think in terms of spoilers.
It's wrapping paper. Screensaver.
Yeah. I thought it was okay. I have to watch it again because my wife wants to watch it again. I might have to watch it. Well, our parents want to watch it, but
maybe you just link that up and then you guys go together.
Or I could just get them to go and I don't go.
You don't. I would watch the last hour again. I just don't want to watch the first 2 hours.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's much repeat value for the first 2 hours. Like it's good when you're watching it the first time because it's very visually spectacular, but you're not going to get that much out of it the second time, I don't think.
Yeah, it's like watching a documentary pretty much.
James Cameron, he obviously knows how to make movies. You can't deny that.
He's a confident guy. Yeah. He's very confident in his own abilities.
Yeah.
Sometimes to his detriment, I think.
Well, look at it. He's got
he hasn't really made a bad movie.
Yeah,
like
and
everyone
he's got
always,
2 of the top. It was like Titanic's 3rd, right? So he's got 1 and 3.
Yeah.
And they're basically, they're based off his name, essentially. Like, why did Titanic make so much money?
That had a re-release as well.
Yeah. So, and why did Avatar make so much money? So he's obviously got, something.
He caters to like the boomer generation.
Yeah.
And also, for some reason, like everyone that likes romantic movies likes his movies as well, because there's always a romantic subplot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the newer ones. Not in T2, but T1 has a romantic subplot.
T1 does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think T2's his most like masculine movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everything else has like romance and like a bit of he hits everything.
Titanic's just a romantic.
A straight romance.
Yeah. So it's not
romance and all that.
Yeah.
Like even True Lies is like
that's a comedy.
It's like a romantic comedy. Yeah.
So it's got, you're right. Like he does have much more. Like if you look at Star Wars is like heavily male skewed.
Yeah.
Like
catered towards like
Nerds.
people that live in their basement.
Yeah, essentially. And Marvel's less so, but still, it's pretty male skewed. Although they're trying to change that.
They're working towards, they want to be for everyone and all that.
But his movies tend to be a bit more universal, like across age groups, across genders, across everything. Yeah. People tend to want to watch his movies.
Yeah, it just hits a wider audience.
Yeah.
China.
Yeah. And they also
because he's been making movies for so long as well. So people that used to like watch his movies when they're younger.
Yeah. Well, it's not just like, so our childhood was T2.
Yeah.
But like my parents, like my dad, when he was, and then the first Terminator was like mid 80s, right?
Yeah.
So that would have been when
before we were born.
Before we were born, but like maybe when they started to actually watch movies more widely. So like he's got a pretty wide base. And then Titanic was kind of, we were still pretty young in Titanic.
Yeah, that was we were grade 5, I think.
Yeah, grade 5.
But all like the 90s kids would, like lots of 90s people loved the Titanic movie. So
yeah, my sister saw that 4 times. She got really obsessed with it.
And then Gen Z, I guess they would have probably been,
that's the one generation which he probably like doesn't have a connection with because he hasn't made a movie.
I think Avatar
for,
was too early for them.
Yeah.
So this movie is probably,
but they can't buy tickets anyway. So like, you don't need to cater Gen Z because they're not going to buy tickets for this movie. Their parents need to buy it for them. So,
but then they might, by watching it, they might build some
so
sort
their
of
parents or
association.
someone might take it to them.
Yeah.
And then for Avatar 4 or whatever, they'll be like, oh, I love this.
Yeah. And this is like, I think anyone can watch this movie. Like, I think kids, not very small kids, but I think most people can watch this movie. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Except for that guy losing his hand.
There's nothing outlandish in it. Yeah.
Just some swears in the fingers.
But even there's not that much. It's not like a lot of swearing.
It's not Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. All right. I think we can close it there. Surprisingly, I thought I'd be more negative on this, but I can't find myself not liking this because I just have to appreciate the way it's been made.
I'm shocked at his lack of brutality in this.
I actually
am as well. I thought you.
I didn't hate it. Yeah. Look, I thought the first half was very choppy and not great, but I didn't hate it. I'm kind of looking forward to the third one as much as I wasn't looking forward to this at all, but I don't know. He's introduced some characters that have some potential at least. Yeah.
So, well, coming to our next episodes, because we're at the end of the year now. So we wanted to watch this movie before we started doing our best of, and our Christmas episode as well. So, we'll be doing our best of 2022 and most anticipated for 2023 in the next week, and Christmas episode, and Knives Out. Which is coming out on Netflix next week.
Yep.
We couldn't catch it in the cinema, so it did have a limited cinema release. But
so this was totally Shravan's fault. It was a Saturday night, and I'm like, we should go watch Knives Out, and then Shravan wanted to play FIFA instead. So we played FIFA, and then it's like, we'll watch it next week. It will still be out. It wasn't out the week afterwards.
Netflix pulled it. So I'm not sure why they did that, because surely...
No, it was always going to... It
was always going to be one.
Ryan Johnson did a 3-movie deal with Netflix.
Yeah.
And then because he wants it to have potential for awards, it needs to have a theatrical release. Yeah. So they released it for one weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd make
one weekend.
Yeah, it was one weekend. Yeah.
It was like Oscars, their rule is like at least 3 weeks in multiple cities for a certain
I think it had limited release here and there, but in terms of a wide release,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even in all cinemas.
Nah,
it's like limited
very
cinemas. But it was literally just 1 week because I was like, yeah, let's watch it next week. And
Yeah.
there was no shows.
He promised me that we would be able to watch it the week afterwards, and then
That's
it
your brother
wasn't
right
there.
there. You broke his heart there.
Yeah. Well,
we played FIFA instead, which we could have done any time.
we could have done it. It's all right. Well, it's coming out next week on Netflix. We'll watch
Yes.
it on
We
Netflix.
could watch it for free on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll watch it on Netflix and we'll review that.
Yeah. For free.
On your brother-in-law's phone.
Yeah, that's right. Our brother-in-law's playing. Yeah.
Free.
Yeah. Free for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got that coming up. I don't think there's any other big movies, which is another reason why I think this movie's going to do pretty well.
Yeah, because there's no competition.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it doesn't have much rewatch value. People have very low, including me, what's the word I'm looking for? Attention spans.
Yeah.
Attention spans. So, like, watching this movie twice is going to be really difficult.
It's basically like most of your day's gone. If you go
and to
watch
make
it.
2.5 billion, you
People need to
people to watch it multiple times.
And like he's said, people are saying, when's the best time to go on peace? He said, whenever, because then you can watch it again.
When you come back, yeah.
That really pissed me off when he said that.
He's a confident guy. I respect the confidence, but also
Ego.
he's an old white guy. So like he's probably, that's probably where his confidence comes from. Yeah.
Yes.
Until he has a failure, you can't say anything.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is a 2.5. I
It's
think
gonna-
if he wanted to make 2.5 billion, he had to make the movie shorter.
I don't think it's going to be very difficult for any movie to make that much post-pandemic because people can just watch stuff on streaming.
Yeah.
And look,
It's just hard.
Endgame was an anomaly, being 3 hours and people watching it that much with rewatches, just because like people were waiting for that for so long.
Yeah.
People weren't really waiting for this. Look, it was built up for 13 years, but not
It's not
really.
like people were waiting for it. No.
Yeah.
Maybe our dad was, but he's
For some reason he's
also
super
waiting
keen
for
on
the next Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, but
So, yeah.
That's blockbuster movies for my dad. He's always like, there's no blockbuster movies anymore. I'm like, there is.
Yeah. But yeah, this year's been interesting because I wouldn't have anticipated this being one of the better movies this year. I thought I was expecting at least one of the Marvel movies to be good. I think Black Panther was good.
they've learned their lesson. They're going to be focusing on the quality from now on.
Yeah.
This is better than every Marvel movie. Oh, actually, I think Black Panther's better than this. Yeah.
Black Panther, Doctor Strange, and Thor. Yeah, Thor.
I would say this is better than Doctor Strange and Thor.
It's definitely better than definitely better than Thor. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Definitely
better than Doctor Strange. Yeah. It's
I
probably
think so.
on par with the Black Panther. They probably have similar issues, actually.
This
They're
is
filmed in water as well, so yeah.
That's right. They're filmed in water. This is visually just miles better than any other movie.
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. Like,
I think Top Gun
That's a different kind of visual.
visually spectacular.
Yeah, it's
as well.
different.
Yeah.
that's not a whole lot of world building there.
But you can tell like the stunts they did were pretty real, and so that was a different kind of.
It's interesting. Like you get kind of like Christopher Nolan visually stunning, which is like real stuff where he actually just does real shit.
He's
And then
very
this
practical.
Yeah,
This is
and
like the
this is the
fantastical.
complete opposite of that, where nothing is real.
Yeah.
Um,
The only other movie that's looked as good as this is Dune, I think,
Oh god!
in recent
That
times,
that was
which looked very good as well.
yeah,
except they just everyone disappeared into the background. Right?
yeah. I think like in terms of like CGI realism, this and June, very good. And Tenet, as much as I hate that movie looks amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're watching. My parents got a very big TV recently, 85-inch TV.
yeah.
We watched a bit of Tenet on it.
Did you-
Story still doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
but,
okay, I was going to ask that. Yeah,
yeah,
Looks amazing. Yeah.
but it does look good.
Did you hear that Christopher Nolan? This is completely off topic, but Christopher Nolan detonated an actual
he crushed
nuclear
a plane.
explosion
Oh,
for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I heard about
Where
that.
did he do it?
He did it in some desert.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
He set off an actual nuke.
Yeah. Like
think
not
it-
a full scale nuke, but I think it was an actual nuke. Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
explosives, yes, but radiation.
I was wondering about that. Like, how far away were they when they filmed this?
Because there
Yeah.
are there are flicks that like
They must have had some very powerful.
Maybe it was
cameras.
like not nuclear. Maybe it was just an explosion. But-
appears to
Yeah.
basic explosives that equaled the amount of nukes in a nuke bomb.
I think that's maybe like because you can't do it with the radiation. Yeah,
I really can't see anyone approving this just for a movie. So
he does crazy shit though.
He does. Yeah.
Well, all the directors have their like
their niches.
Little things, right? Like, I mean, he likes to make everything.
Now he's kind of like doing that in every movie now. Yeah,
he likes to have like a big sequence that's actually filmed.
Yeah,
like in Tenet, he had the plane
that crashed into the thing.
Yeah. In Dark Knight, he had the truck that flips over.
Oh yeah, that definitely was really
Dark Knight Rises. He has that plane that snaps in half.
Yeah, in Inception, the whole hotel sequence.
Yeah. He loves practical effects. Yeah. He tries to keep the computers out of it as much as possible.
Yeah,
Interstellar, he made that ship.
Oh god, and I hate that movie.
He made that block thing.
Oh, the robot.
The robot.
Yeah. So he does his thing. James Cameron's got his. He likes to use new technology all the time.
3D. Yeah.
3D and. Yeah, so everyone's got their little things. Let's close it up there. Thanks, Brian, for joining us again. We'll get you in for something else next year.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah,
maybe the Marvels.
I'm happy to talk to Marvel. We've got Marvel Guardians and Ant-Man next year. Probably
and
Marvels
the Marvels.
The Marvels, yeah.
That's next year, right?
Yeah, they had
Marvels next year. I think
they said to swap places with Ant-Man because they weren't all completely finished, but Ant-Man was. So,
yeah. So Ant-Man's the next Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So if people want to get in touch with us and tell us about what they thought about Avatar Way of Water, how they go about it.
Contact us on all platforms at Cognitive Recalibration, or you can email us at cognitiverecalibrationpodcast@gmail.com.
Great. And we're on all social media platforms, so Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. So follow us on all of those. We do post short form videos on Instagram, TikTok now, small reels. So there'll be a reel coming out of our discussion here today. Follow us on those and send us any comments on those platforms as well if you want to. Okay. That's it. I'm tired after talking and watching that movie, so we're going to go have a bit of a rest. But join us in the next episode where we'll probably be doing a Christmas episide. And
Knives Out.
Knives Out first, Christmas, and then Best Of. So stay tuned for those episodes, and hope you're all staying safe, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Cheers.